Hey guys, how's it going? It is, do I get the date right here? 6:02 p.m. on February 3rd, 2017. And I decided it was time to just do a little short live stream, which I'm going to eventually, pardon me, get this into part of my intro for my YouTube channel. I have had one, it's a little over a year old, so it's probably a little bit outdated, as is a lot of the content on my YouTube channel. So, this is a post that I made earlier, about 5 hours ago, and I haven't had any replies to it, but this is what I wanted to go by for those of you that are seeing some of my videos out there. It actually says I got 200 subscribers. I'm actually close to 300 right now. So the YouTube channel is growing, and I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what this is all about. And I wanted to go through this, and I'm going to use this form here. What you're seeing right here, if you're not familiar with it, for those of you new to my channel, or even those understand might have followed me in the past, this is the Railroad Transportation Simulator Wikia. And what I did was I posted a message in here today explaining that I was going to go on at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. I was a few minutes late. That's normal. And update for the RTS on YouTube. You can find this link on the home page here, and I will show you that. Here we go. Let me just right click on this. I'll open this up into a new browser so that you can see what happens. This is the home page when you first come on. Now it has a lot of outdated information, version 1 stuff, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. There's advertisements, there's all kinds of things. Quite a bit of information, but this is where you can find the RTS on YouTube or RTS. We also have our Facebook account, the various servers we have. Selkirk is not currently operational, but we do have a California and Florida server. And if you go into here to RTS on YouTube, this is what I will be replacing. That's viewing as myself, and that is the voice you're hearing is me, Sean Murrell. I'm going to put a new visitor, what it looks like. So this is the one that's up there right now. Oh, that's interesting. So the live stream pops up right away. That's kind of cool. Normally what happens is the introduction video is shown here, but so I guess when you go a live stream, this thing pops up right on your channel, which is really cool actually. So it gets people's attention that there is a live stream ongoing right now. So going back, I'm going to be referring to this post as I said. So let me just go through this and make sure that I go through the bullet points so that I cover everything. And if I haven't covered anything, please come over to railroadtransportationsimulator.wikia.com, and you don't have to be a member to post any comments, questions. You can. I appreciate the thumbs up. I've been seeing, average about 5 or so thumbs up. I get about 100 to 200 views per video, and I am doing live streams probably about 4 to 5 times a week right now. So that's basically where we're at. We are in version 2, and the reason why the increased activity is I decided to basically my interest in Run 8 has gone a lot stronger. So finding out more information on RTS, both on the Wikia. We also have the Facebook site, and I'll show you that real quick here. Let me see if I can find that here. I'll go back to the home page here. So if you're interested in the Facebook side, you can see us on here, RTS on Facebook, when you go to the home page. And that just shows, basically some of my friends, and that doesn't look right. This week, oh, okay, this is what some of my stuff looks like. So this was a video that I shot when version 2 first came out. I was riding on the Florida route actually in the passenger cab, so testing out the AI. So there hasn't been too much activity. I don't do much on Facebook, to be quite honest. So don't let that disturb you. I mean, I do get all the updates, so if you want to post something on Facebook or whatever, or most of my content appears on the Wikia. And the reason why I use the Wikia is, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. But so that's where you can find RTS. I'm also on forums such as Train Sim. I am not on the Run 8 Depot forum. I have my reasons for not being on there. I'm not going to bother getting into that right now. But basically, you can find me on Train Sim. Anybody who wants to come in here can be a member. They can talk about whatever they want. They can criticize Run 8. They can praise Run 8. They can talk about other simulators. They can even talk about other servers. We actually encourage it. If you have another server and you're trying to get people's attention, we certainly have a following. We have a following on YouTube. You are welcome to not only go into my YouTube channels, you can post comments. I don't mind you advertising in my YouTube channels by sharing links, as long as you're not spamming, and what I mean by that is spamming as in stuff that's unrelated. So if you're trying to sell, okay, quote-unquote Amway products, okay, I've been part of Amway, so I'm just using that reference. If you go in and try to sell products or something like that that has nothing to do with Run 8, your posts are going to get deleted. I have no problem, though, approving, as far as I know, if you have the ability to mention a certain site or a certain forum or anything that you want to advertise and get out there. But I would recommend the best way to do it is do a lot of YouTube content like I do. So as I was saying before, you click on the YouTube channel and you get the YouTube link, you get my YouTube channel. You can do a search for Sean Murrell. You can do a search for RTS, Sean Murrell RTS, RTS Run 8. That will get you to my channel. And I'll just give you what you can expect to see. As you can see, this is the one we're doing right now. Last night, for example, I was live streaming from the California East Dispatcher side. But I'll show you one that was kind of cool that I was looking at today. So I'm looking back, and you can see, like, there's the dates. Every video, they are quite long. I will warn you that. I used to do smaller videos, but they are quite long, so don't be alarmed about this. This video is actually going to be longer than, a typical introduction video, but I want to make sure you guys are aware of everything that we have to offer here. So, California Utility Conductor, I wanted to get into this. So there's popular uploads of 4 years ago, which a lot of that is totally outdated now because we're into version 2. But we've been in version 2 for a few months now. So let me just pop in this for a moment. So I'm pretty much. Oh yeah, that's what I was watching today. So it wakes me up a tiny bit. So as you can see, I have commentary on here. Means coming up for some reason. So I'm just stopping there. You see, people are chatting. Just basically, it's we have fun as far as chatting. We've like last night, for example, we had 11 people. We maxed out. We had 12 the other night. Typically on a Thursday night, we get very busy. I don't know which night this was on, January 19th. I don't have my calendar, but okay. So here comes the train. I'm not sure if it's a player train or an AI train. We run quite a few trains, quite frankly. That's me honking, so since he looks like an AI train for sure. We usually run 2 dispatchers. We will have... oh shoot, I gotta get out of this for a minute here. Oops, I didn't want to do that. So that's some of the content you'll see on my channel. Like, for example, if you're wondering about how many trains we run or how busy it is and how much opportunity there is, I'll show you this one here. It's February 2nd, just before 8:30, just getting back on here. So this is where we're coming on to a busy session last night. And we're going to be doing East Dispatch. Now it gets a lot busier during the night, as you can see. Now I usually have a view.
Okay, he just got an approach. Now he was going to come up to a red, or he took an approach here. He's going to take another approach here, possibly.
Now you got a player train right here. Most of this is AI traffic, but there are other player trains out. There's others working the yards. Let me put the volume down here for a second. So as you can see, like I got like a 5-train meet being set up here. So there's quite a bit of activity, and then I go in and you know, I will observe trains as they're passing through Barstow. I usually like to hang out here. Sometimes there's players, sometimes they're working the yard in Barstow, etc. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and I wanted you guys to be aware that that's what content you'll have. We also go into projects like such as Selkirk, doing research. Again, a lot of times right at the very beginning I will say the date. I will try to explain what I'm doing in the content of the video at the very beginning, so you know. And there's also announcements that I do right in the Wikia forum, just so you guys know. So I want to get through this. I only got about no more than another 30 minutes. I know this is a long introductory video, so hopefully you're patient enough to go through this to learn everything there is. Basically, I've been on YouTube, when you get the history of the YouTube channel, I've been on YouTube probably, I would guess 7 years. I'm not 100% sure if I've had a YouTube channel that long. It's been about that long, because I remember back in the MSTS days I had some videos. So I don't know, because I've done camera. I used to do a lot of videos where I'd have videos where I was taking videos of trains, all kinds of different things. So there's a lot of stuff in there if you go back far enough. I'm not going to bother going back. I'll let you go back if you want to take a look at that. You'll see political commentary. You'll see, you know, you'll see my political commentary. My political views tend to change once in a while. They've changed. I would say it's always changing. You learn more all the time. But I'm not going to get into what my politics are. You can just basically be aware that I may mention political things. So if you get offended by political stuff, there's times I will start commenting on that stuff while I'm running a train. So if you don't like my political commentary, just turn the volume down. Enjoy what else, you know, or fast forward it. We have the live streams. They get posted up to the YouTube channel, and then they're there. So what we do for our sessions, basically we run right now in California. I had a California server. I'll get into that a little bit, but basically I tend to spend most of my time on the California server. Mike is the owner there. I used to have the California server. I gave that up last year, I believe it was. I think it was last year. And that was in preparing the RTS software, and I'll get into that as well. So what we do for our sessions is we have 2 RTS servers, as I said. We did have 3. We will have the Selkirk Mohawk server back up at some point, I believe. I'm working on that, as you saw in one of the videos. So things change all the time. This is why I'm changing this video. And this will change probably, you know, whenever I feel it's ready to change again. What we do for our sessions basically is we have 2 dispatchers in California, and we run full dispatch sessions. We schedule them in advance. We usually run them Tuesday evenings starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and they go to 1 a.m. Eastern, both Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So we don't have too much variance in that, although we're looking to hopefully at some point get varied. For example, Monday and Wednesdays I'm very open. So what we do is we have 2 dispatchers. We usually have at least, if we don't have if we only have two dispatchers and we don't have enough people, we don't run. But lately, for the past, I would say since, I don't know, late December, middle of December, I don't think we've gone through a session without having to cancel it due to not enough interest. With the exception of Super Bowl Sunday coming up, we are canceling that. The server owner is also going away on vacation in February, so we will actually be down for a week, as far as I know, and that will be announced shortly as well. So we always encourage to check out the Florida server, and basically go from there. So, I was giving you a perspective, how we take a look, as far as running the train. As you can see, I log on to the server. That's when I start the stream. I log into the server. Everybody's saying hi to me. Whoever's there, I say hi to them in chat. We don't use TeamSpeak, although people can use TeamSpeak if they choose. I decide not to use it, and you'll see when I'm dispatching, there's very little communication. Most of it's just line up the signals. They read the signals. That's all they need to know. The only time there'll be communication is when somebody's calling for a signal and wants to get out of a yard or a crew change or something like that. Really, crew changes can be done. You can bring it over to AI without having to let the dispatcher know, or you can even take a train from AI, as long as you're not delaying any trains behind. It's nice to let the dispatcher know, but if it's not too busy, you can take a train whenever. It's not a problem. And that's where people who just want to run trains, they can just come on and they can run trains. As long as you're an RTS member, that's all you need to do. So, so that's how, as far as the perspective for that goes. So I am the founder of RTS. RTS has been around at least around the same amount of time, I would say, with the channel. I would say probably the RTS concept has been around at least for about 7 years, give or take. Maybe a little bit longer now. Time is flying by. And the original concept was before Run 8. I used it in such things as Train Dispatcher 3, Microsoft Train Simulator. So what I was basically trying to get was a multiplayer type environment and a railroad transportation system or simulator. I didn't have the means of creating a simulator, but I wanted it to center on car forwarding operations and generally trying to simulate what real trains do. And it's not all about switching. We run the east side and west side of California with dispatching. So the east side last night would have about 30 trains. We had 53 trains running in the entire California section, both west and east side yesterday. I was dispatching the east side, which you would think is busier with a 30, and it was kind of busy, but that's a double track, needle sub, and a few other little sections of single track between BNSF Junction at Mojave and Barstow on the Mojave sub. So, and just a little section of the Cajon sub as it's heading out, and then everything else west of that and north would be done by the west dispatcher. So I'm the east. Usually I'm the east dispatcher. I don't dispatch west very often, but so that's basically what we do in our sessions. Oh yeah, I was doing the history of the RTS. So, so I am the founder of RTS. I basically brought in the once I was introduced to Run 8 by Dale, who's a former team member himself. I'm a former Run 8 team member as well. Dale, you'll probably back in version 1 you would have heard his voices in the BNSF detectors. His voice is something you would hear. That's Dale Miller, and that's basically he. was an admin on TrainSim, which is another forum that I frequent, and I was kind of given through the concept and where I was going, and he kind of got in touch with me and said, I think you may be interested in something, because he knew what I was looking for, and sure enough, he introduced me to Run 8, and then eventually, after a little bit of I don't know if we say persuasion or introduction, I was introduced to the Run 8 team, and I was asked if I wanted to become a beta team member. And I certainly jumped at the opportunity. I got to see the software well before it was launched, and I knew that this was going to be my passion, and the rest is history. Now, I haven't been on the Run 8 team for some time for various reasons I won't bother getting into, but I'm still we've had our ups and downs, but I'm still, I would say, in good terms with the Run 8 team. My Wikia forum here is advertised on the server section of Run 8, and has been for some time now. So I certainly can be critical of the program, but I'm critical in a sense where I always want to see improvements, or I'm critical in a sense to where, as a user and as a customer, this is something that I would like to see happen. But I can tell you right now, version 1 was better than any simulator out there. When version 2 came along, I'd never go back to version 1. And it's just as simple as that, because version 2, and version 2 has its issues, but version 2 of Run 8 revolutionized Run 8. And I knew it was going to. We lost some of our compatibility with the RTS software, and I'll get into that as well. So we basically, what I did as a beta team member, going back 5 years ago, I was the first server that publicly came up. And what had happened was I also was one of the main servers that was used for beta testing. So basically, what had happened was, because I was in a situation where I was the tester, I was able to go in, and I was able to develop the RTS software concept, and basically take an external add-on program that would work with RTS, because once I learned the ins and outs of the program, all within the non-disclosure agreement, of course I wasn't releasing any of this, I was just developing it alongside to get ready for its release. I was able to see the data files, the XML files that were being used. I was able to manipulate the XML files, the train files that is, not the actual contents of the cars or anything like that, but the actual trains themselves. So I was able to spawn trains via the software. Version 1 software is still out there. Version 1 software is still used, including version 2. However, version 1 of RTS is not compatible with version 2. There is a way of making it compatible, and that is, there is a utility on the Run 8 Depot forum or site or something like that that converts version 1 XMLs to version 2. Florida, for example, is using that very technique. They are still using RTS. And as I was saying before, we had the California server. I was the California server owner for a while. We became the first 24... we weren't the first Anarchy server, but we were the first decided to take it a step further and go 24/7. So we became the first 24/7 server as well. And it wasn't too long that 24/7 that became I basically borrowed the idea of the Anarchy, and I thought, when somebody went Anarchy, I never thought it would work, and somebody made it work. I was like, well, let's see if we can make it 24/7, and sure enough, it worked. And it revolutionized, because a lot of 24/7 servers came up. what had happened is the Florida server got introduced. Florida came out. Selkirk came out a little later on. But Florida got its server up, and I found Tom, and he basically took the RTS software to its absolute maximum. Like, we push Run 8 software to its maximum. Tom took the RTS software to its maximum. He uses it and pushes it to the absolute. What he does in Florida is absolutely amazing. Now, having said that, I don't run on Florida. I like Florida. I really do. But I'm the type who prefers to run in a dispatched environment with a lot of operations going on, as opposed to running by myself. Now, some people like to run they don't mind running by themselves. They like the operation aspects. They just want to have the car for it. They want to be able to run whenever they want. And what had happened was, when version 2 came out, we decided to make a change in the way that we were going to operate. Instead of just being able to run a train at any time, we started going back to sessions. Now, we still have California as a 24/7 server. I haven't been a server owner. Actually, I should have mentioned that too. Mike, last year, I believe it was last year, took over for California off of my hands so that I could concentrate on other projects, the Wikia, the coming version 2, software, whatever else needed to be done. And ever since then, I've considered possibly putting up a Selkirk server down the road, but California and Florida are two RTS servers that operate very differently. Florida still operates. It uses some of the AI as well, and they do as dispatching, but they operate with their primary goal to have the server available 24/7 and be able to run trains whenever they want. And they operate on a demand cycle. So they're running 24/7, day and night. The clock never stops; it keeps going, and they run a traditional cycle. Well, what we had in version 1, and the cycle was basically a 24-hour day. So whereas a 24-hour day was be happening, the actual day could take, several days. It used to take weeks, but now with AI helping, they're able to at least run trains. But as far as the switching and everything else, they don't run full sessions, so they run on demand. So if they have enough players around, if they have a dispatcher around on demand, they basically will start dispatching and they'll run. But they don't have any, as far as I know, organized sessions. At least I haven't seen evidence of that. So for me, it's difficult for me to get into that. But that's just me. Other people have difficulty doing what California does, and what we did is, I think it was my idea, suggestion, and eventually I think Mike, the server owner, agreed with it. And we don't always see eye to eye, let me tell you that. But he basically, for the most part, I think thinks a lot the way I do, and that's why it's great. I trust him as far as California, and that's why I trusted giving up it, because I knew it would be in good hands, just like I knew Florida would be in good hands with Tom and what he's done. What happened with California is what we decided to do. Well, I say we because it was kind of my idea, and then it was one of these things where we had to talk about it, and Mike was ultimately, as server owner, the one who made the decision. We decided to run sessions, just like RTS used to do in the old days before 24/7. We would run organized sessions. We still are 24/7, except we freeze the clock. So we will freeze time. We will stop all the AI trains. So if you're running outside a session, you're not allowed to run a mainline train. Your signals are red. There's a dispatcher password. Only authorized dispatchers, which are basically admins, and those who have been granted dispatcher access, has the password to go in, and they are able to set up the dispatching, and they're able to have trains move them during sessions, not between. So the only thing that's allowed to be done is basically work in yards and a little bit of local switching on some parts of the main lines, but really limited. You could cross the main lines, go from like one side of San Bernardino to the other, etc. So that's basically that's all the limits. So not too much gets done. I mean, there's humping that gets done. There's all the stuff where if you don't have enough people in a session, that's where you catch up. So that's where we catch up on a lot of work if we don't have, because California is a big territory. It takes a lot of people. That's why we're always looking for people. One, we certainly run. We can run with less people than what we ran with last night, for example. We can run with 6 people, no problem, and have 2 dispatchers, a couple people running operating yards. It doesn't matter. You can run we as a minimum can run with 3 people, 2 dispatchers and 1 person, spawning trains as needed, and like Mike in the background with 2 dispatchers and maybe 1 other person. But other than that, I mean, if it's just a matter for moving trains and not enough work's getting done, then the decision has to be made whether or not we should have a session or not. Just like this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday is coming around, and we decided that it's probably not a good idea to have a session, considering that the majority of the people, not me, I'm not interested in it. I could have ran, and I could have had access to turn the clock on and off through a remote connection, but I decided no, it's better that we don't run, that we don't have enough people to really warrant it. Most of our sessions have at least 6 people, usually minimum. So you're going to see a fully dispatched session for 4.5 hours. Basically 3 nights a week on average. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursdays is when we usually run, and we announce them all. And we look for we look for interest, we look for people who bid on positions via the forum, and that's how it goes. So, gonna start winding this down. It's 6:34 Eastern right now. I'm gonna be winding this down before 6:45. So that's the history of that. The history of the RTS software. Where we're headed. First of all, where RTS is headed, basically. I am starting to investigate into Selkirk further. We had a Selkirk server. There are issues right now, but there is an update coming, and we're getting prepared for it. So we're looking into it. We're starting to add industries. We're starting to look back at the research. We're getting assistance from the Mikey, who's the creator, or basically the main developer for the Selkirk Mohawk area. And he's provided a lot of feedback to us as well. There's a lot of other feedback, previous posts, and I'm starting to do research from the West End. Not to mention Ski, who's also, his name's Mike, but we always call him Ski. A friend of mine now who I met through Run 8. It's the first person I actually met through Run 8. Lives just over the other side, just outside of Buffalo. And I live not too far away from Buffalo, about 30-45 minutes away from him. So we usually meet somewhere in the middle, whether it be Fort Erie or Buffalo, to watch trains and plan. He became a backup programmer for RTS. Actually, he became the main programmer for RTS because he took it to the next level at the end of version 1. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not been compatible, but there's still... I'll get into that before I end this video. So what we're headed is, at some point we will probably reintroduce the Selkirk server. We are also, as a community, we are interested. We know of at least, I would say, a dozen people who are very serious, who don't have Run 8 yet, who are going to get involved in it. We expect to grow quite a bit. Over the history of RTS, we have had a lot of the people who are with us now. A lot of the people weren't here since the very beginning. People come and go. Sometimes it's just a fact of life. They move on to other things, or they find something else, or they just find something else that fits them, or they go into single player, or they're not into multiplayer. If you're a former RTS member, you haven't been around in a long time, well, check us out. Maybe we're a little bit different. We are a little bit different than what we used to be, and check us out again. We don't require our trains to register all the time like we used to. We do have registries inside the yards, but that's usually with the yard masters, not the actual train crews. So there's a lot of, well, I shouldn't say that. If a train's entering and getting out of the yard, there's a little bit of paperwork to do, but there's not much. Most of it is you take it during a session. You're basically any train's available to run. You want to run a train, and it's AI. As long as you know where it's going and how to operate, and you're an RTS member, you can take a train and run and be under a fully dispatched. And just take a look in the YouTube section and check my live streams. This is basically what this is supposed to be intro for, is to check out my live stream, because you will find a lot of content. And I keep on supplying the content. As long as I get enough views and enough subscribers and enough interest, I will continue to do so. The RTS software is, as I said, version 1. The developers actually kept the XML files for the trains, and I heard through the grapevine, through very reliable sources, that they kept the XML specific, or absolutely, they basically took every other file and digitized it and encrypted it, with the exception of the XML files for the trains. And the reason why they did that was because they wanted to make sure that RTS was still had a potential to be compatible. Unfortunately, there was changes in the XML file, and because we can't get into some of the other XML files, some of our tools were not that Ski had developed were no longer used. So we have to do things the hard way again. Plus, we have to redevelop. So there's a lot of new features that came into version 2. We decided not to develop it right away, and we decided to go with the features. We're finding that it doesn't have all the functionality. That it has a lot of different advantages, of course, especially the industries, which is one of the main things. But as far as scheduling trains in and having trains that look more like the actual trains instead of just random trains that basically come in, we find that there is some potential there. So we're looking into it over the next couple of weeks. We are going to be looking into seeing whether or not we're going to go. And RTS software is basically software, as I said, that generates trains. It goes off a waybill system, and like I said, it was for version 1. We don't have it for version 2, but it is compatible if you use a utility that converts version 1 to version 2. So then it becomes compatible. So from there, basically, I'll go into this stuff here, and I'm going to wind this down. It says it has 200 subscribers, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, that was what I posted for the rest of it, guys. Becoming a member is pretty easy. You can go into here. I'll just go back into the main page here. I'll shut down my YouTube channel for now. But basically, it shows you where the servers are, what the software is. Check out the forum posts, RTS community tutorials. If you must apply as a new member, you first have to become a Wikia member, but then you can become a new member. There's procedures and operations that you should be familiar with, and there's links to the software and all kinds of things there. So becoming a member is very easy. You become a member of Wikia, which is our platform for the forums and the information. What that does, not only there, is once you get into the Wikia activity, as you can see, as you can't see yet, but anyways, here's John here. He's updating documents. So this is documents that you can create, and this is the beauty of it. Here's a link to the Run 8 depot. So, but there's other links that go in. So he just created this work in progress, as is saying. And you can see there's all the forum posts, everything that's been taking place And you can see that all of this has taken place. All these posts, all these various posts. This is a very active. Look at this, 24 hours ago. There's your 24-hour mark. So within the last 24 hours, we have had all this activity going on. If you want to advertise, or you want to post, you can go into the forum, you can go into the Wikia activity and reply there, or you got general discussion, news, if you have availability, if you have suggestions, if you want support, if you have questions. Questions is a good place. Post your questions. Here's where our California operating sessions are. Here's the various yard boards. There's all kinds of information on here. It's very, very easy. And if you have a lot of information and you want to link it, the thing is, a post can link to an article. So those are your forums, but you can go in here, you can add a video, you can you know, add a video, contribute, let me see, add a page. This is where you can just basically, and oh, okay, or click on the titles below. So we currently have 108, see, so it's currently 108 pages, and you know, I can do something like this. I can call it test, and then I can go in and I can start creating an article. I can add images, videos, all kinds of things. Once I save this, I'm going to cancel this, but once I save this, then you go into here, I'll cancel that. If you do a search, like say for example, the other night I was doing some Selkirk stuff, as I was mentioning. So there's a Selkirk research. So here's an article that shows you some of the Selkirk research. And then I added what had been happening on in Mohawk. This takes you to a Google sheet. So this one, RTS car type listing. So there's another article. All of these can be accessed. It can be put into a forum post. So if you're into a forum post, you just go into the general discussion, say hello, and so hi, here are you click on this link and you type, say, for procedures. It's all capitals. Checking this out, it says the page exists. Boom. If I was to click on this once the post is up, say somebody, hey, where can I find the procedures? You want to post a question, just ask a question anytime. You just post that up, boom. We can reply to you and we can give you the links. This is what makes the Wikia. It's not like any other forum. The forum is not the most user-friendly. We get it. We understand that. But that's what that's all about. So I'm going to leave that because I'm not going to post that. But anyways, that's pretty much it, guys. So if you have questions, please check the videos, post comments in the videos. Come on over to the Railroad Transportation Simulator Wikia. Check my YouTubes for other previous videos. We have tons of videos. I don't know how many videos I have up there anymore. I'm just keep on putting hours and hours of content all the time. If you have suggestions, questions, ideas, you know, like this video, get it out. Let me know, and I will be updating this. By the time you see it is probably going, well, maybe not at the time you see it if you're live stream, but sometime this weekend I will make this my introduction video for my YouTube channel, and probably be in there for another year or so. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, I appreciate you tuning in and checking this out for this short little time. Thanks for watching, and you have yourself a good night.